What's up guys, Kyle Fonger here from Vaporhead, driven by you, fueled by vapor. And today we're going to be doing a nickel build in the Delta 2. So let's go ahead and cut to the close-up and show you the guts of this thing. Alright guys, so we're going to be putting nickel in our Delta 2 today. So let's go ahead and unscrew the base. If you have juice in there, make sure you do that upside down. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and unscrew our LVC atomizer with that liquid valve control. Alright, so the first thing we want to do when we're going to rebuild the LVC atomizer is we're going to take some needle nose pliers. We're going to stick them right in that hole at the bottom there, and you're just going to pull that out. Now you're going to see you have an O-ring here, and you'll have one wire sticking out, and that's the positive lead. These come pre-built with the negative lead soldered into the side of this, and as you can see, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. No soldering involved here. So the next thing you're going to do is, with those needle nose pliers, is you're going to grab the edge of this O-ring and gently pull it out. Just grab on there, and just pull that out. And there we go. Now we can see into our atomizer. And you can see that they used a vertical coil with the wicking on the outside for optimal airflow. The next thing you're going to want to do is grab this lead right here with your pliers and pull it out. And you'll see all the cotton comes out with it, hopefully. And there you're going to have to really pull at the end to break that soldering connection. Alright, so once you have your coil out, you might notice that you still have some cotton sticking out there. So what we're going to need are some tweezers. And with some tweezers like this, you can reach right in and you're going to grab all that cotton out. Unlike the Atlantis coil that has a small cotton layer that sits between two pieces of metal around the outside to help wick in the juice, the Delta 2's LVC atomizer just has a long string of cotton that wraps around it, and they shove it in there somehow. So you can see now that I've taken out that cotton, you can actually see right through those windows. So when we wick this thing, we're gonna want to make sure that we get enough cotton in there that they're touching the sides of this metal window here, or else too much liquid will get in and we'll get a gurgling effect. The last part of this atomizer that we want to take out is the steel mesh screen. You can see it in there, it's on the top of the atomizer. And so we are going to gently reach in with our tweezers and pull that out. And there it is. So once you have the bottom positive pin, the O-ring, and the steel mesh out, along with all the cotton and wire, we are ready to rebuild in this thing. So let's grab our 26 gauge pure nickel and let's do a build. Alright, so once we cleaned out our atomizer, we are ready to build our coil. I'm going to be using 26 gauge nickel, pure nickel, and in terms of the diameter that you want to wrap around, you want to wrap around a screwdriver that just fits through that center. So as you can see, there's a little bit of space around, but that's just to give us a wicking room. This is a 1/8 inch screwdriver that I'll be wrapping around. And we're going to go for 8 wraps. So you want to hold one end straight across there, and you're going to bend it like this. And you don't want these to touch. You want to give them a little bit of space in between each wrap. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's our coil, and I'm going to kind of spring it a little bit. And except for at the very bottom, it doesn't look like any of those are touching. So once we've done our coil, we're going to flip our screwdriver over. So now we're going to lay our cotton down over here, and we're going to fold this negative lead over the cotton. So what you want to do is cut your cotton the width of your coil. So mine's about that wide, so I'm going to cut it right about there. And with this Japanese cotton, one thing I like to do is peel off one side and have that open side on the inside of the coil. So let me show you. So peel off that one layer, tap down our cotton. Now I'm going to lay that fuzzy side onto the coil right under that negative lead. And once you have that over the coil, you can bend down this lead. So see that lead I just bent down over the cotton. Now I'm going to keep wrapping. And right when we pass that negative lead, just past that, we're going to trim it. So we're going to cut it right there. So once you have a little hot dog of cotton around your coil, you can go ahead and slide it off. You should be able to see right through. So we're going to take our atomizer and we're going to go in from the top. Gently press it in and grab your bottom leads, kind of pull it, and so you don't lose that cotton that's wound up. Take a small flathead and kind of help shove it in as you pull. So once we have our coil in and our leads are sticking out the bottom, we're going to go ahead and put back on the O-ring and the bottom positive connection. So I know that this bottom lead is going to be my positive, and this shorter one is the negative, the one that I folded over. So what you want to do is take that positive lead and slip it through the O-ring. So as you can see, I have the O-ring around one lead, the positive lead, and not around the second lead, the negative lead. Then you're going to take your negative lead and you're just going to bend it over the side like that, and go ahead and pop your O-ring into the atomizer. You might need some pliers to do that. There we go. Once you have the O-ring in and your negative lead is bent out on the outside of the O-ring, you're going to take your positive lead and bend it over the top of the O-ring in the opposite direction. And when you look in there, you want to make sure those two wires are not touching one another. So on the top, I'm just going to make sure that that cotton is all around my coil there. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop this pin right back in. So our pin is in, our leads are in their right place. Now we're going to go ahead and trim these leads, and you want to get as close as you can. And there's the negative lead in there. Trim that. And there's our positive lead. In there. Trim that. So there we have it. The rebuilt LVC. The last thing that goes in here is our steel mesh. So we're just going to slide that right in here on the top. You might have to bend it a little bit to get it in. And that should just kind of sit on top, and make sure it doesn't touch any of the wire. It's going to be close, butt. Now, before we install this atomizer, what we're going to want to do is take a little juice and put a few drops right in the top. That way our first hit isn't a dry hit. So I'm going to take some Vapor Hut Melon Burst and 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to blow down. And one thing you might find is, I don't think you can see in here, but if the cotton is congesting that airflow, you can take your little screwdriver and kind of put it in there and make circles with it. That'll help push the cotton around. Now, if your coil was built up really high in the atomizer like this one is, you're going to be able to see through those bottom liquid valve control holes, and that's too open. If I were to install this right now, too much liquid would enter the atomizer and we would have a gurgling effect. So what we want to do is take the screwdriver that we wrapped our coil around and we're going to slide it in, and then we're going to stuff little bits of cotton like these. We're going to stuff those into the holes and trim them, and that'll allow the juice to wick into those holes via that cotton, that additional complementary cotton, and that will be able to find its way to the coil. So let's go ahead, we'll stick that in. Small pieces of cotton. I'm just going to gently shove them in there, and they should hit that screwdriver. So we're going to go all the way around into all 3 liquid valve control holes. And that's what it should look like. Now we can pull our screwdriver out. Now what we can do to help the wicking process is put a few drops of juice on each one of those holes. Alright, we can go ahead and put her back in her base. Again, I'm using Vapor Hut Melon Burst. Fill this up. Alright, once we've filled the tank, we can go ahead and install the atomizer in from the bottom. Alright, and today I'm going to be using the HANA mod, the V3 Mini, the Evolve DNA 40 chip. So what I'm going to start by doing is closing the airflow all the way and just giving it a few pulls to help get the juice into that atomizer. Alright, so to get the HANA into temperature control, what you're going to do is you're going to hit the fire button 5 times to lock it. Once it's locked, you're going to hold the power up and the power down button at the same time. Say hold to change temp. Once that comes up, we can change the temperature. Now to turn off temperature control, you would take this all the way up to 600 and it goes off. But we're going to want to set this, let's start with 450. And once you've set your temperature, all you got to do is hit the fire button. You're going to click it 5 times to unlock, and there we are. Let's see if she works. Oh yeah. Alright, I got her at 480 degrees Fahrenheit and 25 watts. And just so you guys know, the wattage when you're using temperature control basically determines how fast you're going to get the coil to that desired temperature. So if I have it at 40 watts, it's going to ramp up really fast to that 480 degrees. If I have it at 10 or 15, it's going to take a few more seconds. So I have her at 25 watts, just over half, 480 degrees Fahrenheit. not bad. And the flavor, one thing I've found with this temperature control and the nickel is the flavors taste cleaner. I never realized before I started using nickel that Kanthal and nichrome less so, but Kanthal, it does have a distinct taste. So there's something about this nickel that's just really enticing. Another 40-watt box mod that we'll be carrying potentially is the Vapor Shark, which uses the same Evolve chip with temperature control. So I have it set to the same 450 degrees Fahrenheit at 25 watts, and the performance is outstanding. For being a plastic mod, it feels really solid in your hand. It has this nice hatch window to take out the battery, so you don't have to rely on the built-in lithium ion like you do with the Hana, at least the Hana Mini. The dual 18650 Hana, you can clearly just pop out your dead batteries and throw in some new ones, and that's the convenience that this Vapor Shark offers. Well, this has been Kyle with Vapor Hut, driven by you, fueled by vapor. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial on how to do a nickel build in your Delta 2. Enjoy.
Well, we're gonna have